Louis Vuitton isn't selling handbags, they're selling brainwashing at scale. And most people have no idea that they've been indoctrinated into one of the most brilliant psychological systems in the world. Think about this for a moment. A Louis Vuitton bag costs them maybe a few $100s to make, yet they sell them for thousands of dollars. And here is the crazy part. People line up, literally beg to give them their money. They'll finance it, they'll go broke for it, and middle-class people who can't even pay their bills will proudly walk around with a bag that they spent thousands for that costs more than their rent. Now, why? Why would someone rationally, logically make that decision? The answer is only one thing, and that is indoctrination. Louis Vuitton has mastered the psychology of luxury branding. And in today's video, I'm gonna break it down step by step so you guys can see through it all. You can use these exact same psychological warfare tools to build a business of your own. By the end of this, you'll understand not just why Louis Vuitton dominates, but how to build your own indoctrination sequence, a system that can turn strangers into loyalists and loyalists into people who advocate for you and your brand. Now let's start with profit margins. Louis Vuitton runs profit margins that most industries would quite frankly die for. Estimates put them between 70 and 90% per product. That means if they sell a bag for $2,500, it might cost them $300 to make. That is not retail, that is hacking the entire financial model. But the real question isn't about how they manage their cost. It's how they've engineered a system where people thank them for charging them that much money. And it starts with the first psychological weapon, and that is scarcity engineering. You see, scarcity drives desire. Louis Vuitton stores are never stocked like department stores. They are curated, they are set up, they are very minimal, they are almost empty, and that is a design choice. It is a strategy because the less product you see, the more valuable each one becomes. They also leverage scarcity signals, and exclusivity drives what? It drives obsession. Then comes the second weapon, price as proof. This is where most entrepreneurs miss the mark. They think lowering their price is going to bring in more customers. But in psychology, high price signals signal what? It signals greatness. The expensive object becomes the credible object. And if you look at Louis Vuitton, they don't apologize for being expensive. They use price to eliminate the broke mindset and the other folks who can't afford or are not willing to pay with their credit cards for their actual products to buy what? Status. Now let's move into the third weapon, and this is cultural symbolism. The LV logo is not just fabric. It's not just leather. It is a status flag. Owning it says, I've made it. I belong to a higher class. And if you think about history, knights wore crests, priests wore robes, royalty wore crowns, and humans have always relied on symbols to separate tribes. Louis Vuitton doesn't just re-engineer that from these ancient needs. They literally have taken it and made it a part of consumer psychology, and they've weaponized it for the middle class indoctrination. This is the most brilliant, most ruthless move in psychology that I've ever seen, because Louis Vuitton doesn't just target the rich. They make the middle class believe that owning one bag, one wallet, one accessory makes them feel wealthy. It's a psychological shortcut to success. It says, I may not have assets, I may not have investments, but look at me, I made it. And in society, obsession with appearance, looking rich, feels almost as good as being rich. The next weapon is exclusivity through rejection. If you ever try to buy a Louis Vuitton product and they say they are out of stock, do you think that is by accident? No, it's called manufactured rejection. They want you to chase. They want you to feel unworthy until the day you finally get the damn bag. And that's the dopamine spike, and that's why it's so high. You're hooked for life. And this is why Louis Vuitton isn't just a brand, it's almost damn near a cult and has a cult-like following. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Because you build this exact effect in your own business, it starts to begin with frame control. From the very first interaction with your brand, you decide and qualify who's gonna get your product and who doesn't. The more selective you are, the more people want in. Most businesses chase customers. Louis Vuitton flips the frame. Customers chase them. Then another psychological law that they use is scarcity by design. You see, you don't offer everything to everyone. You build limited editions. You release it at specific times, you design waiting lists for it, and scarcity doesn't mean you have have less of it. It means you control when and how people access it. Scarcity is a drug, and the supplier controls the addict. The next one is price as positioning. Most of you are undercharging, and when you're undercharging, you communicate one thing: I'm not valuable. If you raise your prices, watch how your customers start talking to you more seriously. Louis Vuitton isn't competing with Zara. They're competing with status itself. Their symbols, their rituals, their logos, their colors, their phases, they are all building blocks of cult-like psychology. And if you think about it, Starbucks has a green symbol. Tesla has a T. Apple has a bitten piece of an apple. When people see those symbols, they feel identity. Your business needs symbols that mean something. That's how you create belonging. The next one is strategic rejection. This isn't counterintuitive, but it's essential because you don't want to accept everyone. You want to say no to customers who aren't aligned with your company's values and mission. You want to build applications. You want to have gate access. And every time you reject someone, you raise your value of being accepted. That's why private clubs work. That's why Louis Vuitton thrives. And finally, the last law that they deploy flawlessly is status transfer. This is when the indoctrination cycle is completed. When someone buys your product, they aren't just buying the object, they're buying the identity attached to it. Louis Vuitton customers believe that they've transferred status from some brand into themselves. You want your business to achieve the same thing. People should feel like your product elevates who they are. And here's the kicker. Once indoctrinated, people don't just buy. They literally will go to war for you. They flex online, they recruit others into it, and this is exactly why Louis Vuitton doesn't need influencers. Their customers are their influencers. Now imagine applying this to your business. You stop competing on features, pricing, and convenience. You start competing on psychology. You engineer scarcity. You position yourself with a high price point. You create symbols. You reject strategically, and you transfer status every time someone buys your product or service. That is how you go from selling a product to building a freaking movement. Louis Vuitton isn't selling handbags. They're selling identity. They built a multi-billion-dollar company by leveraging this psychology, not by selling leather. And this same psychology, scarcity, exclusivity, symbolism, rejection, indoctrination, if you take these things, you can apply these same principles to any product or service-based business. You can make folks apply for your services. You can start acting like an actual exclusive thing and not just a commodity, and you can start building a cult-like following. In today's world, movements are what survive. So let me ask you this. Do you think luxury branding is manipulation, or is it mastery of psychology? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see a debate, and I want to see if you're serious about learning about other hidden psychology tricks of billion-dollar brands and how they use this indoctrination to reach the masses. If that intrigues you, subscribe right now, because this is just the beginning. We have a lot more to come.